Okay, so it seems like pretty much everyone is here now. I'm going to get started. Welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us today. So this webinar is on technology in the Jewish classroom. And for those of you who don't know the whole story, it started because last month I had posted a newsletter for Jesna on this topic of technology in the Jewish classroom. And it was just a really basic introduction for people who are not really that familiar with the use of technology in the Jewish classroom. And at the end of it, at a suggestion of a coworker, I did a little write-up of people who are interested in continuing this conversation. So it really is a conversation. It's not a lecture from me as an expert necessarily, although it's the beginning, so of course if people have more questions and want to keep going, there are going to be opportunities for that. But the hope is that those of you who have been using technology in your classrooms are going to be able to share with each other. And then, when you hear someone who's talking about something that you're interested in, you can then follow up with them after the fact. So that is the basic idea of this. So with no questions, we are ready to jump in and start talking about social media in the classroom, which is our first topic for today. So I'm going to start off by showing you guys my desktop for a minute before we can take turns showing each other's desktops if you all have other stuff you want to see. So this came about, as I said, from this Quick Bites newsletter that I put together for Jesna last month. And it was a basic introduction to the world of technology and social media, specifically for Jewish classrooms. And if you have not yet had a chance to look at this, I would encourage you to look at it. You don't have to look at it all right now, of course. You're going to have the links from this conference after we finish. It's got a lot of definitions, articles about how Jewish technology is being used in classrooms, and a couple of really great tools to help get you started. So that was the beginning of this conversation. And so one of the things that people ask is, what is the difference between a blog and a wiki? I'm just going to show you real quick. This is Jesna's Jewish Education News blog. So what it basically is something that is maintained by one person or by a group of editors, and they post content, like I've posted here, news articles relating to Jewish education, and then anyone who wants to can comment on it. This blog doesn't really have very many comments. It's more informational, but the idea in a blog is that you start conversations in the comment field. And another really great one is this one, Teacher Lingo. So this is sort of a community of practice for teachers who are looking for support for not just technology, but in general with a community of practice that they can share their questions with other teachers. You can upload your own content here. You can create your own blog and link it to Teacher Lingo. You can follow the people whose ideas you like on Twitter. It's a wonderful resource. So that's an example of a blog. And there's one other I wanted to show you called Classroom 2.0. This is another general education blog for teachers. And they are geared specifically towards helping you assess your basic technology questions. So these are two really great blogs that you can start out with in the general education world. And I'm going to let Karen and Lisa talk a little bit more about Darim, which is a specifically Jewish resource for education, both in schools and in synagogues. Another great resource is Avichai. I'm sure a lot of you already know about these guys. They have this wonderful educational technology blog where sometimes they post lesson plans, sometimes they're articles about what's working, what's not working. You can see on the right-hand side here, the cloud tag. So if you're looking for just one specific topic, say you're interested in smartboard lessons, so you click right here. It'll bring you within the blog to specific posts relating to smartboards. So we'll see what's about to come out here. Here you go. So here is a lesson plan that someone did on a smartboard and posted to Avichai. So these are some really basic examples of ways to get started investigating technology for your classrooms. So I'm just going to show you a few more links that were from the original newsletter that I posted. So after Avichai here's an article from the Jewish Week called The Jewish Classroom More Wired Than Ever. And it also lists, new things that different people they interviewed are doing in different Jewish educational settings with iPods, with smartboards. So this is a pretty short, concise article that I would encourage you all to read after this webinar when you have a chance. And again, these links are all listed in this original newsletter, and you're going to get the link to that. So we've got articles, we've got definitions, and the next thing I was going to talk about was smartboards. So before we go to smartboards, I just want to stop and ask if anyone has questions about basic definitions in social media. Yes, I see Patty has a question.
Yeah, you said that you were going to explain the difference between blogs and wiki, and you explained a blog. Did I miss it? I didn't get what wiki is. I still don't know.
No, wikis are coming. We actually have a whole section about wikis coming at 4 o'clock, so I was going to hold off on getting into that for now.
Okay.
Because we are very lucky to have Karen Levine from Darwin Online, who has agreed to host that little mini section, and she's actually going to show us some example wikis, so I did not address wikis yet. We're going to get to it later. Before I start talking more, because I just love the sound of my own voice so much. Oh, Judy, yes, you have a question.
Yeah, I have a question about the various social media. I'm familiar with Facebook and Twitter, and I saw that you had Flickr on there and other ones that I was not familiar with. What does Flickr do besides pictures? Because my son posts all his pictures on Flickr.
Well, Flickr is a social media site that is specifically for pictures. And actually, that graphic that you saw, let's go back to it, that isn't something that I actually created. I just grabbed it off Google Image, as I thought it was a nice graphic that represents a bunch of different social media sites. So Flickr, I mean, the thing about it that's interesting is that you can tag it. Just like with a blog, you can tag topics or content. So if someone goes on Flickr and says to themselves, I want to find all the pictures of challah, they could type challah, and everyone who's tagged their pictures with that keyword, it'll come up. So it's good for any kind of research that you can imagine where you're trying to find specific images of specific content.
Okay, thank you.